and thriving in evolving environments. We are going to do a recap of what transpired yesterday. We've got limited time, and we've got a number of presenters lined up for the day, and we need to move on time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our parent ministry, the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. They are here with us. They are going to be introduced to us later. For now, ladies and gentlemen, may I call upon Harare Diocese to give us a presentation on issues, critical issues in the education system and in Anglican schools. And the presenter is none other than Dr. Nyatanza. Dr. Nyatanza, can you walk to the podium? Thank you.
Thank you so much, the chairperson for the session. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking at critical issues affecting the education system, particularly in Anglican schools in Zimbabwe. This is not a finger-pointing presentation, but it's a presentation which we would like to look at seriously. And as I make the presentation, I'm not suggesting any solutions. The solutions form part of the homework as we leave the conference. We would like to look at the word issue. An issue is an item that attracts agenda status. An issue is an item that attracts agenda status. One of the critical issues in the Anglican schools and in education as a whole is bullying. Bullying has gone to such an extent that it is disturbing the well-being of learners in the schools. And if not closely addressed, it destroys the fabric of the education system in our schools. We have several cases of bullying that are reported in schools. And with some of them, they are so serious to the extent that learners are committing suicide. We have had so many cases of learners committing suicide in schools because of bullying. Bullying causes emotional distress amongst the learners. It disturbs the whole learning process. A learner leaves home going to school only to be bullied. It even becomes more serious if it is gang bullying. Gang bullying, this is whereby a group of learners may direct their efforts to a particular student. In most, if not all, Anglican schools, the school regulations read that bullying is a matter that warrants the expulsion. Not expulsion, but exclusion. We are politely saying that this learner does not fit into the equation. Perhaps if you go to school one, not a church school, you may be accommodated. Bullying is not only about learners. We've got teachers who are engaging in bullying. Not only to learners, but amongst themselves. And heads of schools who are good at bullying teachers in the schools. You want to say you are the person who is in charge, and as you carry out your duties, are you not bullying the teachers in the school? One typical example of bullying in our social world, the combi drivers. The way they drive on the road, they have no respect for anyone. That's typical of bullying. Anokusundizira soka, au kusundizira soka, kusika wabuda mlodi. We also have a situation whereby we are bullying workmates. Let's go to the next slide. Curriculum relevance. Heads of schools have got a very great job in choosing the curriculum that suits the learners in your schools. Are you maintaining the curriculum that was there so many years ago, as it was in the beginning? When you look at the curriculum being offered in our schools, there is a mismatch between the official curriculum and the demands of commerce and industry. In other words, we are simply saying there is no intercourse between curriculum and reality. Is the curriculum being offered in our schools being relevant to the realities of the world? Yes, today we are talking about heritage-based curriculum. That's a good intervention by the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. How far and wide is the curriculum that you are offering in your schools? We are advocating for lexical examinations in our schools. This is not only in high schools, but it even goes to the primary schools. When you look at the relevance of the curriculum, there is one missing dimension: lack of clear career guidance programs for learners. Learners are getting up to A level without knowing what they are going to pursue at the end of the day. We have clearly defined career guidance programs in our schools. Career guidance starts at grade 1, if not ECD. Heads of schools have got a mammoth task of talent identification. We've got so many artists in our schools, but that talent is not even tapped. When you talk about artists, we are talking about those who sing music, those who play theater, those who draw. Is your curriculum addressing those areas? Let's go to the next slide. This one is a very thorny issue. The re-registration of Anglican schools. We have got so many of our children who are scattered all over the country, and you are saying, Baba Barutuana Kumba. But we have a challenge in that the local governments, the rural district councils, and the urban district councils don't want to give back our schools. Those are our schools, and they should come back to us. It's an issue in the Anglican schools. Perhaps we need a background as to what happened leading to where we are today. Mr. Bende.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to share with you is what transpired between 1970 up to 1972, and eventually the takeover of schools around 1976. Those of you who used to read, it was a magazine or a newspaper for the African, which was called the African Times. You remember very well that the Rhodesian government then publicized it through the African Times that it was going to introduce councils for the rural areas. So these councils were introduced, each under a chief. A chief would run a council and establish his own offices at the council. Each council then was given the mandate
to take charge of schools, clinics, and minor roads, leaving the major roads for the government. In each district, there were schools that belonged to the different missions. For example, from the district where I come from, there were the Roman Catholic schools. The Roman Catholic had a few schools. There were about 5. The Salvation Army had its own schools, but the greater number of the schools in my district belonged to the Anglican Church. As young servers at my age, as young servers under priests like the Reverend Father Tumbare, may his soul rest in peace, and Reverend Father Paspanojga, also may his soul rest in peace. These took us on Sundays and serve us to go and serve in the different schools because we were having services. So this shows how the Anglican Church, for example, established itself as missions with their schools. And around 1982 and 1984, that period, a fierce battle, for example, in my district, was started by brave people like Mr. Gakanje, Mr. Kavai, Mr. Mfudza, Mr. Chidziwo and others who wanted to reclaim their schools. And in particular, they were focusing on St. Philip's High School, which eventually the governor at that time was Governor Senator Joseph Kaparanza, also may his soul rest in peace. They had no choice but to surrender St. Philip's, both primary and high school and primary. This left 7 Anglican primary schools remaining even up to today under the authority of the council. And perhaps this may also apply in other districts throughout the country. It may be interesting to hear that in all our schools, communities, particularly church communities, knowing precisely well that this school belongs to them, are establishing church buildings. And the council is doing nothing about it to stop them, because they know very well that these schools belong to an authority. And what remains is to be granted the authority to own these former schools.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now we are saying these are our schools, and you are really concerned. If you get to a school which is called St. Columbus, St. Matthias, St. Thomas, that is enough to justify and say this one is a former Anglican school or a former Roman Catholic school. In councils, they don't have saints, do they? They don't. We have had challenges, and we're having challenges after having some meetings with the parents who agree We have the schools re-registered in the name of the church, but the rural district councils are giving us a deaf ear. It's an item that attracts agenda. Next slide. Policy issues. My small definition of policy is what government decides to do or not to do. That's it. What the government feels like doing or not doing, that's a policy. We are concerned about the replacement of teachers on leave in our schools. I know it's a national issue, but we are talking on behalf of the Anglican schools. A teacher goes on leave, there is no replacement. Those remaining in the school, and as responsible authorities who are responsible, we second some teachers to take those classes, and we pay them because we are concerned. The deployment of teachers in our schools. We have a teacher who is non-Anglican in the schools. But we are saying, some may not even throw the slightest line in the school. It is our crime that the powers that may be grant us the autonomy to have Anglican teachers deployed in Anglican schools. I know this one is a very controversial issue and it's a policy issue. We are not saying non-Anglican teachers must be chased away from our schools. Today we had mass in this building. And I think you all noticed about 99.9% received the Holy Communion. This is what we expect in our Anglican schools. Next slide. Centralization and delays in approval of fees and levies. As Anglican schools, we are talking on our behalf. We are so much concerned about the centralization of fees, particularly the boarding fees and the tuition, and the delays that follow. School development committees were established by Statutory Instrument 87 of 1992, revised and amended later. The parents' assembly sit down and the parents agree on a budget. Amongst the parents, we've got lawyers and doctors and teachers and business people who put their minds together to agree on the said budget. But some of the budgets, they are cut down when they went to the ministry. Are we undermining the credibility of those people who have agreed on those budgets? It's an area of concern. It's an item that attracts agenda. Next slide. Status of Anglican church schools. We are so much worried and confused as Anglican schools. Are we a private entity or we are a public entity? Are we government schools or non-government schools? There is need for clarity. We are saying as responsible authorities, when it comes to the issue of boarding and tuition, we are the owners of the schools. Are we not? Am I talking alone? No. Father, moving? Sorry? We are. Are we? Yes. We are saying parents are bringing their children into our school. We acting as the custodians of the children when they come to our schools. Is there any reason for us to negotiate with the parents over the boarding fees? The food requirements for the learners in the school? Is there any reason for us to negotiate? Sorry? No. When it comes to procurement of items for the schools, where and how does price come in? Because we are only government-aided institutions, but we are not 100% government institutions. Next slide. Climate change and climate justice. Our schools are not spared. From the effects of climate change. Most of our schools are agrarian in nature. And when it comes to issues of climate change, we are found to be affected. When it comes to the growing of crops, even some of the day scholars in our schools, they are equally affected. Because they no longer have anything to put in their stomachs. Or it may be very little. However, the government is doing its best to come to our schools' rescues. Because of the supplementary feeding programs that are in place. But really, climate change is a cause for concern. Next slide. Diseases and pandemics. We do want to be reminded of the COVID era, when the whole country was closed. And schools were closed. And you are saying it is imminent that we may have diseases and pandemics that may affect schools. Cholera was one such issue. Parents were not allowed to visit their children in the schools. Schools were quarantine camps. We are praying that that may not repeat itself. But that is an issue. Next slide. Let us skip that one. We are being screened live from this morning up to the end of the day. STEM teacher shortages. This one is a very, very, very bad situation in our schools. We are talking about the promotion in the teaching of STEM subjects, but the teachers are not available. What the Anglican schools are doing is that they are hiring teachers who are taking the science subjects, and the dioceses are paying for those teachers, responsible authorities. One thing for certain is that these teachers are running away from the schools for reasons best known to them, but they are saying they are seeking for greener pastures. Where can we make our schools greener? But one thing that makes it very difficult is for the schools to treat the teachers differently. That we cannot afford. To say a language teacher is paid less than a science teacher. That's not possible. Next slide. Artificial intelligence. This was talked about yesterday by one of the presenters. It's an issue in the education system. Do we have policies that control the use of laptops Because if we don't have a worldwide policies, we are not going anywhere. 2 years ago, we paid a learning exchange visit to a school in Rusabe, Manicaland. And from ECD up to grade 7, children are coming to school with cell phones. And at high schools, we say no cell phones. And we may even say no laptops. The issue is, let's have world-wide policies for the use of these gadgets. Because artificial intelligence has come to stay. All that we have to do is to monitor. Next slide. Next slide. Mental health. I carried out a survey. Out of the 19 heads of schools in Harare Diocese, 18 of them had high blood pressure. Bari bachirongwa chekumwa mapirisi eBP. That's a question of mental health. Tikabvunza vari kuno muntu vari kumwa mapirisi eBP sinze maoko zototiremera. Because of the nature of the job that we do, which is so demanding. I don't envy the headmaster of today, I'm sorry to say it. During our days, we used to head schools. And the work was enjoyable. Today, there is too much on your table. But because you are the people, you have to sort your own. But there is need for mental wellness in our schools. Mental health challenges among students have skyrocketed. The learners we have in our school, who are doing grade 1, who are doing form 4, they're having different types of stress. And according to recent data, 69% of public schools report rising mental health concerns. We brought you here so that tomorrow you can have some refreshment. And when you go back to our schools, you will be in a better shape. It's not easy kurongera mwana wa musina kubereka in the Anglican schools. Good morning.
Dr. Dr. Nyatanza for the presentation. Really, there are critical issues that we have in our schools. You have highlighted a number of those critical issues. Curriculum relevance, a mismatch of the official curriculum with commerce and industry. There is no intercourse between the two. That's straight from your words. We should promote issues of VOCTEC. We need hexagon exams in our schools, not only at secondary level, at primary level. You also talked about the rich history of reading in our schools, our Anglican schools. It's not Harare only. And in Manicaland, we still have to claim about 80 schools that are still under the RDC. Someone. And my leave days, my teacher actually didn't leave. But plan zvakanaka, unogona kuona chikoro chese zvikuenda kuleave. So I was happy when you said, and who are we? There is need for that the definition workload that we have. Looking at the takatapura ministry. My headmaster takatapura ministry. Yes, ilma kuzimelu. Kwanzi tusorebe runa mahali. If you think to go in zvakanaka undofumasi mukoko. Drunkardness inotongoitika ikuitika maschools medu. My headmaster is it's a pity.